Good morning, everyone, and happy Halloween. However or whatever you celebrate, because this is actually a wonderful time of year because it's really a sacred time of year in many different traditions. Of course, here we know it as Halloween, which the ancient name for it is Samhain. And Samhain is what it was named. It comes out of a Western European earth-based religion that predates Christianity. And this is a time when it is considered, the veil is considered to be thin between the world of the living and the world of those who have departed. So it's considered to be a time that it's easier to connect with spiritually and to honor the ancestors and the departed loved ones at this day, according to that tradition. So connection between the living world and those who've transitioned into the spirit world. So that's the actual true significance of Halloween. And it is also the midpoint between the autumn equinox and the winter solstice. And it's considered, in that ancient pre-Christian tradition, it's considered to be the new year. So it's a new cycle in the turning of the wheel of the year. And it's a time when the harvest is winding down and the earth is preparing to go into that necessary period of dormancy and stillness, and where the plants and much of the animal world goes into stillness and hibernation. And so for us, it's also a good time to prepare to go inward for a time of more stillness and contemplation, if we want to stay connected with the cycles of nature. And tomorrow and the day after is Dia de los Muertos in Mexico, which is another day that has a very similar significance, connecting with the ancestors and honoring the ancestors and the loved ones who have passed on. So that's the significance of this time of year. And in the yoga tradition, we can also connect with the energy of Shiva and the power of Shiva, who's associated with the dissolution of all forms and all living things. And Shiva is also connected with the releasing of anything that is finished, and in that sacred cycle of creation, sustaining, and destruction. So it's really about honoring the transformation of life into death and rebirth. So I'll show you, we're going to be doing a posture today, actually, that honors Shiva, Shiva Nataraj. And you can see Shiva is standing on one leg, and he's doing a dance, and he's waving his arms around in a ring of fire in that cycle of destruction, sort of clearing out what's finished, and in that clearing out, that purification, that transformation, he is inviting in new possibility, new life. So we'll put Shiva right here on our altar, and we'll do the Shiva Nataraj posture in just a moment. So let's come into your yogic seat, whether you're in a chair or whether you're sitting in a comfortable cross-legged position. On your cushion, lengthen up through your spine, lift the crown of the head to the sky. Take a deep breath, fill all the way up into the chest. Pause at the top, enjoy the fullness of life. And exhale, release anything that you need to let go right here as you come to settle into this place of sanctuary on your mat. And another deep breath in, filling all the way up in fullness, fully alive. And then exhale, completely letting go with your breath. In a sense, when each time we breathe in and breathe out, we are participating in Shiva's dance of creation, sustaining, and letting go, dissolving. Let your eyes close and take a moment to go inward, just with your breath. With an open heart, shoulders dropped away from the ears, long spine, open heart. And at this time of year, where we are poised at the seasonal threshold, it is also seen as an auspicious time to set intentions, to make amends, to clean up any unfinished business that we might have in our own life or in our relationships, so that we can step into this new year purified and unburdened by the past. So as you breathe and center for just a couple more breaths, I want you to set an intention for this new year, for this new cycle, this new turning of the wheel of life. Something that you perhaps want to let go. And in the space of whatever you're letting go, whatever you're offering into Shiva's fire, what is it that you want to invite in? And then bring that into your mind and heart. And bring the hands into prayer position in front of the heart. And those of you who wish to can join me in acknowledging that eternity from which we all come and to which we all return with the sound of Om, and sealing that intention that you've set. Let your eyes open with a soft gaze. And then we'll come into a seated warm-up, whether you're in a chair or whether you're sitting on your cushion. Once again, lengthen up through your spine. And we'll take some seated sun breaths. Arms reach and rise. Reach through right, reach through left. Exhale, widen down. Inhale, lengthening up, reaching through right, through left. Exhale, wide and down like you're reaching to the horizons. Syncing up your movement and your breath and your attention. Next inhale, arms reach to the sky. We'll take it into a twist flow. Reaching up, exhale to your right into a seated twist, leading with your heart, looking over your right shoulder. Inhale up to center. Exhale, other side. Flowing side to side with a seated twist, staying centered on your sit bones. Let your own breath find the pace of your movement. Don't have to go into the deepest twist. It's just a warm-up to start. So you can just explore your range of motion and come into that syncing up of breath and attention and movement. One more round, each side. Inhale, arms come up to center, palms come together. Exhale, hands return to the heart. An opportunity to touch back and into that intention that you set. And then left arm rises, right palm roots down. Find a nice length and space to the left side of your body. Take it into a side bend, reach long and away. Take another deep breath in, breathing into those fingertips. Get a little deeper into that side bend. Exhale. Inhale up to center, exhale, float arm down. Other side, right arm rises, press down with your left, lengthen up, exhale, take it into your side bend. Another inhale, reaching into your fingertips, exhale, deepen into the side bend. Inhale up to center, float that arm down. One more each side at your own pace. Note if it's any different this second time. You try each side. And then take a moment to roll your shoulders. Anything you need to let roll off your shoulders. You can even make a little noise with the exhale. Clearing out the cobwebs energetically as you just let any stuckness roll off of you, mentally, physically, emotionally. Roll forward with the shoulders. Just finding the biggest circles you can make just from the shoulder. And then coming back to stillness, refresh your posture. Take another deep breath in. Exhale, release completely, soften shoulders, lengthen through the back of the neck, lengthen the whole spine. And then I invite you to come off of your cushion that you're sitting on. Maybe you might need to just straighten your legs for a moment and just kind of shake them out. And then come into just a comfortable cross-legged position with your sit bones, connecting with the mat. And when it takes, you can either do this in a chair or on the floor, but if you can do it on the floor, that's fine. Just soft, easy, cross legs, hands on the outside of your knee. We're going to take some seated cat-cow. Inhale, rolling forward on the sit bones, open the heart, spread the chest, lift the chin so you open the throat. Exhale, tuck the chin around the spine. So we're taking some seated cat-cow here. Syncing up movement and breath, letting your sit bones be like that. Bottom of a rocking chair, rocking forward and back, opening the chest. Exhale, opening behind the heart, chin to chest. And then I'm going to invite you to take it right down onto your mat. So the next time you exhale, draw the thighs into the chest, tuck the chin, and if you can, rock right back onto your back and hug your thighs in. Hug your thighs in as close as you can to your rib cage. And then as you exhale, float the feet down. And then do a few more like that, hugging thighs in and letting the feet go. So what's happening is that you're lifting and lowering the low back area, the sacrum and lumbar spine, lifts and lowers. So you're just getting a spinal massage there in the low back. And if you want to take it deeper, you can place your hands behind the crooks of the knees and tuck the chin so the shoulders and head lift off of the mat. And take a little deeper rocking from your sit bones to your shoulders. You don't want to rock onto the neck. Keep the chin tucked so that your upper back is rounded, which will make you roll a little bit easier. And if this doesn't feel comfortable for you, you can always just stay with hugging in and letting go. Hugging in and letting go. Don't forget to breathe. We're massaging the spine, massaging all the different nerve endings that run along the spinal column, the muscles that support the spine on either side of the spine, the erector spinae, stimulating the chakras and the subtle body. If you want to take it deeper, you can cross your ankles, grab opposite big toes, and bring the feet overhead. Maybe rocking all the way up onto your sit bones, rocking back, letting the feet come overhead so you can take it to the depth of rocking that's comfortable for you. Don't forget to breathe and enjoy the stimulation of your spine and the nerve endings and chakra points situated there. And then you can settle onto your back. Once again, hug your thighs in, rock side to side, just massaging the spine in a different direction, side to side. Just rocking slightly over to one side and then the other, letting your upper arm touch the mat on either side. And we're going to begin to Open the hip joint, lubricate the hip joint, so settle into stillness on your back and bring your hands to your knees and begin some wide circling of the knees. So the knees open wide apart from one another, and then draw the thighs in, bring the inner thighs together as the thighs are close to your chest, press away and open. So you're circling the knees in opposite directions to stir the hip joint with the head of the thigh bone. And breathe into any places where there's tightness, restriction, or stagnation. Breathe and enjoy as you juice up that hip joint with synovial fluid. And you can circle the other way. See how it feels to move the circles in the other direction. Hug the thighs in one more time. Relax the back of the head and the back of the shoulders into the mat. Clasp your hands around your right shin or behind your right thigh and extend your left leg along the mat. And let the whole back body from all through the back of your left leg, back of the torso, back of the neck. You can even tuck the chin a little bit so the back of the neck lengthens. You're coming into the pose known as the wind relieving pose, because as you press your thigh into your low belly, you're massaging the ascending colon here. Just relax the backs of the shoulders into the mat. If any wind gets relieved, we can open the window here if we need to. That's exactly what it's supposed to do. And you can either stay here just hugging that thigh in toward your rib cage, the right knee angled toward the armpit slightly, or you can begin to engage the abdominal muscles. First start by lifting the left leg. Keep that leg straight, but just lift it about 6 inches or a foot off the mat. You can just point and flex your foot. And get the calf muscle activated. Maybe find some circles of your ankle one way or the other. And then exhale, bring the chin to the chest, roll the head and shoulders off of the mat. And see if you can stay here for 3 deep breaths. Those of you who know the Ujjayi breath with the contraction in the back of the throat, making that whisper sound, can activate that. If you want to take this deeper, release your hands, turn your palms up in the pose that I call the pose of receiving the grace that's always pouring down on us. Keeping the head and the shoulders, chin tucked toward top of the chest. See if you can hold for 3 deep breaths here. After 3 breaths, you can slowly float that left leg down, head and shoulders back down into the mat. And then straighten. Before we do the other side, we'll take another sequence here on the right side. So press your sole of your foot straight up to the sky so the leg is perpendicular to the body. And you can just grab, it might be easier just to do this with your hands behind your calf or even behind your thigh here rather than strap, because we're going to be transitioning from one posture to the other. If you can grab your toe with your peace fingers 1 and 2 without pulling your shoulder all the way off the mat, you can do that. Otherwise, just grab behind your calf. And you want to try to stretch the hamstring, stretch the calf, try to straighten your leg as much as it'll comfortably go. And try flexing your foot if you can, so that you're leading with the heel, pressing the heel up to the sky. Toes point down toward your heart. And then open your left arm so that it's shoulder height, T position, palm down, and see if you can open. 2 options here. You can open your leg straight out to the side, keeping your sacrum flat. Try to keep the left buttock on the mat. Press out through the heel so you get a nice inner thigh stretch here. Gentler option would be to bend the knee to come into a tree pose, bringing the sole of the right foot inside left thigh. So you still enjoy a nice opening of the hip there. So either straight leg, just grabbing on the outside, you can just grab with your right hand onto your calf, and the sacrum is flat, both butt cheeks on the mat. Another deep breath in here, press out through the heel. Good. Unless you're taking the tree. And then we can all come into that tree pose. So bend the right knee, place the sole of the foot inside the thigh of the left leg. And then reach your hands back behind you. Point your left toes the other direction. So you're coming into a tall tree that's lying down on the earth. Reach long and away. Point your toes in the other direction. Outside of your thigh reaches down toward the mat on the right side. Big breath in, and then exhale. Circle the arms down by your sides and take your right hand and invite that bent left knee to come all the way across the body. So you're going to come into a twist. So you're going to draw that right knee all the way over to the left side. So you are going to roll your right hip and right buttock off of the mat here. Reach your right hand out to T position. Turn your gaze to face the right hand. So you just want to invite with the left hand a little bit of guidance on that right knee to invite the knee down toward the mat. And you can either stay with your knee bent here, or you can take this deeper by straightening your right leg, press out through your heel so that the foot stays in the same level, same line as your hip, but the leg is straight, and you feel a nice stretch on the outside of your right leg. So either leg straight. So if you're going to do that, you want your foot all the way up here, all the way over here. Yeah. And you might end up playing footsie with your neighbor here in this tight space here in this studio. Good. Backs of both shoulders soften into the mat. Oh, get a nice stretch on the outside of the leg and a spinal rotation. One more breath here. And then you can bend that right knee, come back up to center, and turn the right knee out to the side. So you're going to come into the figure 4 pose. So bend your left knee and draw your left thigh in toward your belly and cross above your ankle to meet the middle of your left thigh. Thread your right hand through the space between your legs. Draw your you're going to draw your left thigh in toward your belly, either clasping behind your thigh or clasping around your shin. And you can use leverage on your right arm inside the right thigh, the elbow or forearm, to press away with that hip. So you get a little rotation of the hip a little more deeply. So you want to go for the juice here, drawing your left thigh in, pressing your right knee out. Everybody's got it. So go for them. Just relax head and shoulders into the mat if you can. You want to try to bring this foot a little this way so that you're making contact above the ankle. Make contact above the ankle, not right on the ankle. Relax shoulders. Take another long, deep breath. Same with you here. Draw your foot past so you're making contact there. And that way it's easier to make contact with your elbow inside the thigh. Nice hip opener here, glute stretch. This is also known as the supine pigeon. And after the next exhale, you can release your hands, release your legs. Take a long, slow, deep breath in Shavasana just to notice the difference between your right side and your left side. You see where you notice where there's more energy and aliveness, space, warmth, tingling, pulsing. And then hugging left thigh in. We'll take that same sequence on this side. So hug your left thigh into your rib cage, wind relieving pose. Before lifting the other leg or lifting your head, just find length along the back body through the right side of your body. So press out through your right heel. Just tuck the chin enough so that the back of your neck is long, and make sure both shoulders are melting into the mat. Hug that left thigh nice and snug in toward your rib cage, knee angled toward armpit. Now you're massaging the colon on the other side, the descending colon. So if you ever need to move things along, this is a great pose for that. Lift your right leg just about 6 inches or a foot off of the mat and point and flex. Say good morning to your calf muscle as you point and flex, and to your ankle, toes, bottom of the foot. You'll find some circles in one direction. Circle the other way. And then when you're ready, you can roll the chin to the chest, head and shoulders off of the mat. You can feel your abdominal muscles waking up and engaging here. And either keep your hands clasped around shin or behind thigh, or releasing your hands, palms turned up in that pose of receiving grace. Draw your nose toward your pelvis, so nose toward pubic bone, to keep lifted. See if you can keep the entire upper back lifted off of the mat. 3 deep breaths. Find that little Buddha smile, little lifting of the edges of the mouth toward the ears. Breathe and enjoy. You are alive. And when you're ready to release, slowly with control, float the head and shoulders down. You can let your right leg come down and press the left heel to the sky. Either grab your hands behind your calf or even behind your thigh, just to allow the shoulders to relax, or peace fingers to your big toe. Flex the foot, press the heel up to the sky, toes down toward your heart. Send your breath to where you're noticing the stretch. Relax any other part of the body that doesn't need to be engaged to explore this stretch. So see if the jaw and the brow and the muscles around the eyes, and the belly, shoulders can relax a little more. And then as you're ready, you can open that leg out to the side, keeping the foot in the same line as your hip, and keeping the hip pointers straight up so that your right buttock and the sacrum stays connected with the mat if you can. So there may be a tendency to roll that side of your pelvis off the mat. See if you can keep it flat. You'll get a nice inner stretch in the thigh, or take it into a modified reclining tree pose with the knee bent. You could have your right hand out to T position, palm down. Nice wide open heart, wide open hips. Press out through your heel, flex your foot. So just enjoy whatever expression of open hip feels good. I know you got the stairs in the way a little bit, but you're still getting a nice inner thigh stretch there. Yeah. And then you can bend your knees so we can all come into that reclining tree pose. So the sole of your left foot comes inside the thigh or to the knee, wherever you can make contact of the extent of your right leg, and reach your hands back behind you. So you stretch the body long, point the right toes away from you, reach the fingertips back behind you. Tall tree, lying down. Big breath in. And then exhale, circle your arms down and gather up that left thigh and cross that bent knee over your body to the other side, to the right side. Let your left hip roll up, and then look at your left hand, which is now going to come down to shoulder height, reached out toward your left. Right hand just guides that left knee down. So you're coming into a reclining twist, bent knee over straight leg. You can just let the foot of the sole of your left foot rest on the knee or thigh. Just enjoying a yummy spinal twist here. And you can explore a straight leg. Those of you who want to, move that left foot away from your right leg and press it out towards your right so that that left leg straightens. And just anchor it steady by bringing your hand to your calf, your right hand to your left calf. Foot in line with the hip if you can. So that's just an option. So what you want to try to do is guide this knee down. Yeah. And try to lift this hip a little bit more so you get a little bit, a little more of a spinal twist in the low back. Yeah. Stay connected with slow, delicious, luxurious breaths. And then come back, bend that knee, that left knee, and come back to center. And turn that left knee out to the left and draw your right thigh in toward your belly, clasp either behind your thigh or around your shin, pressing away with your left elbow inside the left thigh, coming into your figure four. Find that dynamic tension where you're drawing the right thigh in and pressing the left thigh away. Go for the juice, breathe, and enjoy. Invite this foot down so that we're making contact above the ankle. So we don't want to make contact right on the ankle joint, but just above the ankle joint. One, because you don't want to stress out the joint, and two, you want to have the contact between your elbow on your left side to the inner thigh of the left thigh. So you're going to press into the fingers right here with your leg. Yeah, so that's how you get that. Juice it up. Yeah. Breathe, enjoy, celebrate whatever's happening in your hip this morning. Massage any tight areas with your breath. Send your breath there to replenish life force, prana, life energy. And releasing the figure four pose when you're ready. Just melt yourself into Shavasana for another breath, just to let go of that whole sequence before we do one more sequence on your back. Take another deep in-breath. Exhale completely. Remember, every breath is participating in Shiva's dance of releasing and letting go whatever doesn't serve you, whether it's just products of metabolism in the cells or tension in the body or a thought that might be distracting. And each in-breath inviting in the magnificence of a new moment, a new possibility. And then bend the knees and bring the knees to point straight up. We're going to do another spinal twist practice and abdominal strengthener. So bring your knees to be in line with your hips so that your thighs are straight up and down and knees are together, and your lower leg is going to be parallel to the floor. So you're kind of like sitting in a chair on your back. Bring your hands to T position so that your palms are down and your hands are the same level as your shoulders. And what we're going to do is flow with the breath side to side. But instead of letting your legs come all the way down into the twist, you're just going to let that knee hover over the mat so it stays about an inch above the mat. So you keep your belly muscles engaged. So you're going to inhale up to center and exhale to the other side. You can just sync it up with breath. Inhale up to center. Keep that L shape with the legs.
Exhale, float down to the other side. Keeping your legs in that 90-degree angle, and just let the outside of your knee hover an inch or two above the mat. So you're going to feel the abdominal muscles that support this pose and hold it engaged. If you notice your feet coming toward your buttocks, you just want to correct for that. So keep that 90-degree angle flowing side to side with your breath. And if you notice there's a lot of space in between your knees, then what you can do, because the knees are going to want to splay out, sometimes you can just place the block in between your knees so that it'll invite the thighs to stay active. Side to side. And once you're comfortable with flowing side to side here, with your exhale into the twist, inhale to center, you can turn the head in the opposite direction that the knees are going. So head turns opposite the knees as you flow side to side. Syncing up your movement and your breath as you move side to side in this revolved abdomen flow. So I'm going to place a block in between your knees. Yeah, you can either do that or you can do leg lifts if you prefer. Doing leg lifts, yeah, it's up to you. Yeah, that's a good abdominal strengthener. Taking your time, going slow is always good because then you can feel every sensation. Flowing with breath. This is called a revolved abdomen flow. And the next time you come to the knees toward your right, I'm going to invite you to let the legs rest on the mat and roll all the way over onto your right side into fetal pose. Take a breath or two there just to center and transition. And when you're ready, you can press up into a table pose on your hands and knees. Does anyone, and if anyone needs knee pads for your knees, you can grab those or fold a blanket so that you have a folded blanket under your knees. Beautiful, everyone. Arm bones stacked, hips over knees. And I'm going to take a cat-cow flow first, because you can get a little bit deeper spinal flexion and extension when you're on hands and knees here. And allow the throat to open, shoulders draw back on the inhale. Exhale, tuck the chin to the notch at the base of the throat. Syncing up movement and breath and awareness. And then come to a neutral spine. We're going to take it into that puppy stretch. So keep your hips over your knees, slide the hands forward as far as you can go and let the heart melt down, also known as heart melting pose. Two options: you can have your forehead down and reach your hips back and hands forward, or you can bring the chin down, which is a little bit of a little more challenging stretch, but allows the heart to melt down a little bit more. Draw the navel in and up to support that lengthening spine. Reach hips back, hands forward, puppy stretch. And if it's available, you can lower your forearms down all the way up to the elbows. But keep your arms straight as you can comfortably go. And then pressing into the elbows and forearms, draw the upper body forward to come into Sphinx pose. And adjust yourself, correct your shape here so that you're Arms are at a 90-degree angle, elbows right under the shoulders. Draw the shoulders back, heart forward as you press into the elbows into the mat. Press the pubic bone down into the mat. Reach the toes back so your legs are really activated here. Kneecaps lift, quads engage, and press all 10 toes down. And see if you can find the micro adjustments in your body so that you're actually coming into a very elegant, proud sphinx with an open chest, shoulders back, crown lifting to the sky. So you feel a nice lengthening through the front of the torso and a little back bend here in the low back. Beautiful. And then roll the torso down and slide the hands underneath the shoulders. This time the elbows point up, or they actually are pointing straight back behind you, but they're up off of the mat. Snuggle the arms in, bring the forehead down. Keep the feet and the pelvis rooting down, legs active, just like they were in Sphinx. And then inhale up into your cobra. And we'll do a few rolls here, lifting, engaging the muscles in the middle back there to invite that lift, lift, lift. Exhale, roll down, forehead comes down. Inhale, reach the crown forward first. So instead of just lifting the head up, find length first. So grow long with the body, give a little tug in the hands to invite the heart to come forward, lift and roll back, look up, open the throat, exhale, forehead comes down. And again, lifting up into your cobra. Here you can either stay here, a couple of options here. You can either stay with your hands just gently touching the mat, or you can lift your hands and maybe reach them back behind you, reaching back behind you with your fingers drawing toward the back of your space. Can you do that by keeping and still keep your feet connected? Maybe you can interlace your fingers, squeeze shoulder blades toward one another, heart draws forward. Lift, 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 draw heart forward, hands back, legs active, feet down, and release. Make a pillow with the hands, turn the cheek to one side, just let it all go. You can bend your knees and just windshield wipe your legs side to side. And float your feet back down. Bring the hands down under the shoulders. Press up into your table pose. Take a nice cat stretch here as an opposite spinal movement and sink it back to your child. Your knees can be slightly apart or apart enough so your belly comes down in between the thighs, or you can bring your belly on top of your thighs. So find your access to child's pose. And I'm going to give you a little, actually, you don't need such a thick bolster. I don't have, here we go. I'm going to find a thinner bolster here. Sometimes just a rolled up blanket or a thin bolster can give you just the support you need. I'm just going to put that right there, so yeah. All right. So let's take it into a sequence now. Inhale, rise up into your table. Big breath. And exhale, slide the hands forward, puppy. Inhale into Sphinx. So draw the body forward into Sphinx pose. And you can either stay in Sphinx or you can slide the hands back, transition to a cobra. Those of you who are flexible enough and experienced and your body is comfortable with full cobra can peel the whole torso off. Just keep the pelvis anchored, look up. Exhale, roll back down, forehead touches, and then round the spine and sink it back to child. Opening up. And we're going to take it from here
into a lunge. So take another big breath in and exhale and release. Inhale back up into your table pose, and you can use your blocks or just hands on fingertips to transition and bring your right foot forward. Knee over ankle, slide left leg back. Relax the shoulders, open the heart. So you can start with your fingertips down or your hands on your blocks. And take another couple of breaths here to really open and stretch this front of the hip flexor here. So you want to make sure that your foot is underneath your knee. So you might need to do whatever, even taking your hand to help your foot come forward. So you feel a nice psoas stretch here, and you can either stay here or you can come up onto blocks in the higher setting so the shoulders are over your hips. Now you get a little bit deeper stretch here. And if it feels comfortable, you can reach your hands to the sky into a kneeling warrior. So either keep your hands down under your shoulders or reach your hands to the sky. You got that stability practice. Big breath in, reaching up. Keep the pelvis rooting down. Hands can come back behind you. Open the heart. Courageous warrior. Big breath in. Beautiful. Exhale, release. Frame that foot. Now we'll take it into a press twist. So you can bring your left hand down, your right hand onto your thigh, and press into both hands, into the floor and into your thigh, rolling open your right shoulder, looking up at the sky. If you want to take it deeper, you can lift your right hand to the sky. Some of you experienced yogis might want to curl your back toes under, lift up into a high lunge, coming into revolved side angle, long and wide. Exhale, release, frame that front foot, step it back into your table, and I invite you to take that same sequence you just did. Now some of you, I know that some of you are familiar with knees, chest, chin to cobra, back to down dog, who can take that if you'd like. Those of you who want to take a gentler version are going to do puppy. Exhale. Inhale, Sphinx. You can take your own pace. I'm just showing you the sequence. Transitioning to cobra. Exhaling, rounding into cat, and sinking back to child. So take the sequence that serves you best. Either way, you're inviting a beautiful stretch along the back body, opening the heart, opening through the shoulders and upper arms, chest. And once you're back into your child or down dog, those of you who are taking that can come into a lunge on the other side. So either hands on blocks, underneath your shoulders, knee over ankle, doing whatever tricks you need to get that foot forward. And you want to make sure that the back leg, and I'll come sideways here so you can see the line, that you want the back leg to be at a diagonal so the knee is a little bit behind the hip so you can get that nice psoas stretch. So now you have your left foot forward, and just take a few breaths to open and breathe into that stretch. Enjoy and celebrate. Relax the shoulders, lengthen through the spine. And it is going warm in here. I'm going to crack the window a little bit. Is that okay with everyone? Yeah, because it is getting warm in here. It's a beautiful, warm Halloween. And then if it's comfortable for you to take this into a kneeling warrior with left foot forward, either just come onto your blocks underneath your shoulders. You get a little opening stretch in the front of the torso and solar plexus area. Heart rolls open as shoulders roll back and down, maybe hands to the sky. You can spin your pinkies inward so that the palms face one another, and that gives you a little more space and dropping in the shoulders. So notice if you're leaning forward and try to stay more upright, straight upright if you can. Yeah. So bring your blocks a little bit back, back there. Yeah. And then maybe hands back behind you if you have the core stability to maintain this. If not, it's fine to have your hands down on the block. Open the chest, squeeze the shoulder blades toward one another. Big breath in, courageously open heart, and then release.
Right hand on the floor, left hand on the thigh, and come into your twist. Pressing into the thigh, rolling open, look up at the sky, or take the left hand to the air, or back toes curl under and take into full revolved side angle pose. Long and wide, big breath. Exhale, release. Step it back into, you can either just come back into your child, or those of you who want to or feel ready to take a downward facing dog, fingers spread wide, toes curl under, and you're going to press down and forward. And one heel at a time comes to the earth, so you're going to come into that inverted V. You can keep the knees bent if you need to, pressing low belly toward the thighs, or if it's available, straightening both legs, sending the heels down to the earth. Press down and forward into the hands so this, you send the shoulders back toward your hips. It's absolutely fine to do child's pose instead. Yeah, beautiful. So you get the backs of the legs, nice stretch through the whole upper body and the backs of the legs. And then from here, I'm going to invite you to walk the feet forward between the hands, or any way that you can come into a forward bend. Folding over the legs. Keep as much bend in the knees as you need to come into your forward fold. Let the head hang down. Find some movement of the head. Yes. No. Maybe. And if your hands are just kind of hanging down, use a block so you have a little support there. For some of you, it's more appropriate to just do a half forward bend, or maybe hands on a chair. A couple folks at home might be using a chair. It's fine to just have your hands on a chair if you need to. Just want to invite the backs of the legs to lengthen, and if you're in full forward fold, the spine to lengthen. Reverse gravity, inviting space between the vertebrae. Take a half lift. If you're in full forward bend, you can slide the fingers up the shins, fingertips press into the shins, flat back, navel draws in and up, reverse shrug with the shoulders, back of the neck long as you look down, reach forward with the crown of the head, back with the tailbone, and exhale, release. And then here, bend your knees, and we're going to roll up one vertebra at a time. You can place your hands on your thighs if you need to help press up. Stacking one bone on top of another, building a tower with your spine. Nice and slow, shoulders down and back, heart open, crown lifts to the sky. Beautiful. And just come into your mountain pose, toes point straight ahead, palms open, just feeling and celebrating your uprightness, your feet making contact with the earth, the crown of the head lifting to the infinite sky, feeling your own body as being that bridge, that meeting point between the earth and the sky. And then you can relax. I'm going to once again show you Shiva here, Shiva Nataraj, the dancing Shiva, who waves his arms. He has many arms. He waves them around in a ring of fire. And he's actually standing on a little demon that represents the ego. And this is the fire of transformation, letting go what doesn't serve us, what's finished, what is necessary to let go, and in that space, we have space to open up to new life and new possibility. So it's that cycle of destruction and creation. And there's one mudra, if you notice, that he's got one hand up in, like he's saying stop. And that's called Abhaya Mudra, and that's the mudra of no fear. So we do not need to fear that transformation. Now I'm going to invite you to come into this as a balance play here. So you may want to take a block and just place it in the flattest setting in front of your standing leg. So some of you are going to use, and maybe a little bit
just slightly a little bit over toward. So if you're on your right leg, a little bit over toward the right. So you can cross over. And you're going to bend both knees. And if you're coming into a full balance, what we're invited to do in the balance play here is to lift this knee, the leg that's crossing over, your left leg is going to cross over. I'm doing actually backwards from what you're seeing, but we're going to do it on both sides. So you're crossing over, and you can play with seeing if you can lift that crossed over leg, your left leg, just to hover here and come in and out of bending the standing leg. And then the other hand, your left hand is going to point downward, hand in front of your navel, the palm in front of your navel. And then the other hand can come into that Abhaya Mudra, the mudra of no fear. And again, if you need to have your tippy toes on the block, you can do that. All right. Soften your shoulders, fix your gaze into the spot on the floor in front of you, and you can just try lifting one toe and lowering it. So we're coming into Shiva's dance. And think about what it is you need to let go and release as we're on this threshold of a new year. What are you offering into Shiva's fire? And either with your knee, with your toes lifted, or staying with your feet on the block, go counterclockwise. So if I mirror you, I'm going to be going the opposite. But whatever's counterclockwise for you, letting go. It's okay to have your feet on the block as you do this. It's also a leg strengthener as that standing leg is bent. What are you offering into Shiva's fire? Procrastination, self-doubt, fear, maybe a habit that isn't serving you or a mind state that isn't serving you. Let it go. Exhale, breathe it out. And then come back into your mudra of no fear. No need to fear the transformation. And back to standing in your mountain pose, steady and comfortable. You can take that block and move it to the other side of your left leg. So we're going to take the same posture, the same side here. And I'll show you again at home so you can see what it looks like. You don't have to lift that leg quite as high as Shiva does. So now you're going to cross your right leg. I'm mirroring you again here. Cross your right leg over your left toe. Just place the tippy toe on top of the block. And then bend your left. So you've got at least a little leg strengthening there. And if you can practice lifting that knee and turning it out to the side, either just lifting and lowering or just keeping your toes on the block. And then your right hand, fingers point down, palm faces you in front of the navel, and then no fear with the other hand. Abhaya Mudra, like you're saying, stop. No need to fear this transformational process. You can even come a little deeper into that knee bend if you can. And then this time going clockwise. Going clockwise. What are you inviting in that space you created? What positive quality can fill up that space? Inviting it in. Shiva's fire. And then, once again, right hand, palm faces you, fingers down, left hand, no fear. See if you can do one more, lifting that knee up, fixing your gaze and spot on the floor, and then come into mountain pose. Beautiful. Take a moment here to just give a little shake of each leg, just to reset and find any wiggles and waggles that feel good here. Oh my goodness. And then we're going to take it into
a wide leg forward bend. So I'm going to invite you to turn sideways on your mat. So you might want to turn to face the long end of your mat. Will, you might want to, you guys might want to turn this way so you can see me a little bit better. From heel to heel, the length of one of your legs, from heel to heel. And the toes are going to turn out 45 degrees. Arms out at shoulder height, wide open. This is called the 5-pointed star. Root your tailbone down into the mat. Crown of the head lifts to the sky. And we can actually take it into the goddess pose, which is a great leg strengthener here. One more. So bend the knees and bend the elbows and drop your hips down. Open your thighs so that your outside of your thighs reach back behind you. Elbows reach back behind you. Root your tailbone down. So when you do this, you don't want to be leaning forward. So imagine that your back is against the wall. Yeah, that's it. That's it. Inhale, opening up to your 5-pointed star. Big breath in. Exhale into your goddess pose. Yeah, great leg strengthener. We can do this whether we're male or female. Everyone has the inner god and goddess within them, anima and animus. Inhale, open up 5-pointed star. Exhale, goddess. So you want to draw the outside of your thigh back behind you so we get a hip opener and leg strengthener. And 2 more. Opening up, long and wide, expansive. Exhale, goddess pose. Inhale, opening up 5-pointed star. Exhale, goddess. Beautiful. Inhale, 5-pointed star. And from here, pivot on your heels so your toes point straight ahead. Your outer edges of your feet are going to be parallel to the outer edges of your mat. And we can start becoming halfway down, flat backs. You're going to really activate your belly muscles. Crown of the head reaches forward, back of the neck is long. If you need to press into your thighs to support yourself or place a block here to support yourself, you can. Otherwise, see if you can take it into airplane arms, lengthening out from your tail to your crown, abdominal muscles supporting, flat back, long spine. Beautiful. Back of the neck long. Beautiful, everyone. Another deep breath in here. And then exhale, come into a full forward fold. So you can bring your forehead down to the block or down to the mat. Hands can frame your head and then just enjoy the stretch in the backs of the legs, lengthening through the spine. Yeah. Spread your sit bones apart from one another. Imagine that you're a peacock spreading your feathers, fanning your feathers. So this is a kind of inversion here. So we invite the spine to lengthen. Crown of the head reaches toward the earth. And for those of you, if a full forward fold is not appropriate, you can come into a half forward fold and just support yourself with your hands on the block. And then we can all come halfway up. And you can bring a block, either your fist or a block, underneath your shoulders and press your left palm into the block and let the right hand rise to the sky, coming into a twist. And see if you can keep your, stack your right shoulder on top of your left, lifting up with your right hand. Long from tail to crown. If you need to have a little bend in your knee, if that's a little uncomfortable on the knee, you can do that. Big breath in, exhale, release, and fold. Then come up halfway, press your right hand into the block underneath your shoulder, lift the left hand to the sky, coming into a spinal twist here. Long and wide, long line from your lower hand to your upper hand, long line from your tail to your crown. Big breath in and release. And then bring both hands down under the shoulders or to the block, pivot on the heels, toes turn out 45 degrees, bend the knees, bring your hands to your thighs, roll up one vertebra at a time to come back to standing. And then you can heel toe the feet to hip width apart. Beautiful. I'm going to invite you to come down onto the mat, and we're going to take another inversion opportunity. So the opportunity here is to set up your feet for bridge. So you're going to lift your hips and place a block in the flattest setting underneath your sacrum. So not in this tender lumbar area, but in the flat part of your sacrum. So the lower edge of the block is just right above the butt crack. Your hands are down by your side, and you can either come into legs straight up in the air, or those of you who are comfortable with shoulder stand and want to try that, can bend your knees and take a little, you're going to need a little momentum lift here to bring your hands behind on your low back, framing your lower spine. And you can keep your knees bent here to start, tucking elbows toward one another, and then legs straight up in the air. If that doesn't feel like something you want to try today, you can just keep your legs straight up in the air, just on your block, and you still get a wonderful benefit of the blood from the lower extremities pooling down toward the heart, where your hips are a little bit higher than your heart. And those lower extremities are being nourished by the bloods and fluids that are pooling back to the heart, pooling to the thyroid and the glands in the neck and head. Just let your eyes close as you're in this inversion, whatever version of your inversion you're doing. And bring your attention to your long, slow, 3-part yogic breaths. Slowly float your feet down to the mat. And once your feet have landed on the mat, you can roll your hips up an inch or so to remove the block underneath you. And you can either just hug your knees in toward the chest, or take it into happy baby, where the soles of the feet face the sky and your knees are going to draw down on either side of your rib cage. And you can either grab your ankles or bring peace fingers to your toes, soles of the feet face to the sky. Legs come into an L shape, 90 degrees, and your inner thighs are going to try to draw down so they frame your rib cage. And just let the backs of the shoulders and the back of the head rest on the mat. If it's hard to grab your feet, then you can grab your ankles. Happy baby. Press the sacrum down into the mat. So what you want to try to do is just grab your legs from the inside so that your arms are inside, and then widen your feet. Yeah.
Beautiful. Bring your soles of your feet together and see if you can grab either your ankles or the feet on the outside of the feet and draw the feet in toward your heart and press the knees away. Lots of deep breaths. And slowly release this pose and let your body melt into Shavasana. I'm going to close the windows so that we're nice and warm. Backs of the hands. Rest into the mat about 45 degrees, arms about 45 degrees from your body. Let the toes just naturally turn out in opposite directions. From here, you can let go of any control of your breath and just allow your breath to find its natural rhythm. Back of the head comfortably releases into the mat. Eyes closed. So here, we lay our bodies down upon this ground that our ancestors roamed and foraged and plowed and planted. Let yourself rest deeply beneath the sky, the same sky that enveloped them, that they danced under, beneath the same stars and moon that the ancient ones gazed upon. Their blood runs through your veins. Their stature shaped your bones. Generation to generation, their eyes and skin unfolded into your beautiful, miraculous body. Your ancestors are alive in you. Rest deeply in the knowing of that sacred connection. Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. And slowly you can begin to bring some movement into your fingers and toes and deepen your breath. And hug your knees in toward your chest and give yourself another embrace. Maybe a little rocking side to side. And slowly rolling onto one side. You can very slowly press yourself up into a seated position. Bringing the hands together once again to touch into the intention that you set at this beginning of the new wheel of the year. However you celebrate, whatever you celebrate. I wish you a happy Halloween and happy celebration of autumn and the power of transformation that comes with it. Let's share together the sound of Om. Deep breath in. Namaste. 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 Wonderful, everyone. All right, I'm